Well, I got a call and a great conversation with the president, and he said, "Hey, Mr. Secretary, he's always been so positive and so considerate to Catherine and I this whole time. But as you know, Caitlin, we were never running for a cabinet position, never running to be VP. As a sitting governor, and I've got 152 days left of the greatest job in the nation, being governor of North Dakota right now."
Good evening, Minnesota. Are you ready? President Trump is in the house. I just had a chance to welcome him to Minnesota, and I'm going to tell you that he is so excited to be here with all of you and so grateful that all of you are here. He can't wait to get out here. But while he's saying hi to a few more Minnesotans backstage, taking a few pictures, they asked me to come out and say hi, and I'm always happy to come and talk to our neighbor in Minnesota because this is such a great state. You guys send all your students over to our universities. Some of them great athletes, and then we get to use them to beat you in sports. So I came here to thank you for that. And, of course, I'm here for another reason, because I believe, like Minnesota GOP, you had some great speakers out here earlier tonight. And I'm going to tell you, the one reason I'm here tonight is because I believe in this state as a neighbor. I believe it can do better, and I believe that this state can help elect President Trump in November. I'm going to tell you why that's so important, because as a governor, I've had a front row seat. I had a chance to serve under President Trump my first 4 years in office. Like many of you, I was in business my whole life until I got elected the same night that President Trump did for the very first time. And it was like having a beautiful breeze at our back. Taxes were going down, regulations were being cut, states were being respected because President Trump understands that we're a constitutional republic and that the federal government has limited powers, and he was returning power to the states. And when he did that, it was an era we had innovation was the word, not regulation. And our country was thriving. Our border was secure. Inflation was low. The economy was strong. And there was peace abroad. And then Joe Biden took office. And I'll tell you what happened then. You've all been living through it. Inflation has come like a thief in the night. There's over 60% of the Americans that have no savings. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're having to pay more for gas and for food and for rent and now for electricity, 30% more for electricity. They're having to do all that. And then those hardworking Americans that have worked their whole lives have had savings. Inflation's come like a thief in the night and stolen 20 to 30% of the value of their savings, and they're going to have to work longer because of that. And they're frustrated. I was with President Trump last week at Wildwood with 107,000 people came out to cheer him on. And somebody on one of those liberal news networks asked me, well, who was there? You know, what demographic? And I said, who was there? I said, it was working families. That's who was there. As we drove up in the motorcade coming into that venue, some of them said, oh, I don't think there was 100,000 people there. I said, no, there wasn't, because we saw about 20,000 before we got to the venue. 3 miles out, they were lining the streets. People parked their cars in the ditches, waving American flags. We went by a fire station. Went by a fire station in a little community. They had all the trucks out, and all the firemen were standing on top of the trucks, waving the flags. People honking their horns. And there were so many people, the New Jersey, in blue New Jersey, the New Jersey Highway Patrol had to be out to help do traffic control. And we went by one intersection. I looked over, and there was a New Jersey Highway Patrolman saluting the president's motorcade as it went by. And those people were all there just like you're here tonight, this amazing turnout tonight to support our president, because you know what they know, that you were all better off under President Trump than you are under Joe Biden. And as a governor, I can tell you, and I know your own legislature doubles down here with, billions of dollars and more taxes and more regulation. That's a bad thing. But all your businesses are moving to North Dakota. That's okay. They're coming over in droves, because we're lowering taxes and we're lowering regulation, and that's exactly what President Trump's going to do for this country. But what we have now and what I've seen under Joe Biden, I'm still a governor. I have the same job description. My job has changed. Instead of focusing on driving our state and the country forward, all we do now is fight back and sue the federal government. We're fighting over 30 different rulemaking efforts. None of them have ever passed the desk of your great congressmen like Michelle Fischbach or Tom Emmer, because they're not coming from Congress. This is the Biden bureaucratic regime. The real dictatorship, which we're over 1,200 days into, is Joe Biden with a single ideology, shoving rules and rules down on states like North Dakota that are choking our families, choking our industries, and killing our energy production, which is then driving it overseas to Russia, Iran, Venezuela. And Iran and Russia are paying for the wars. We're in two proxy wars right now, one with Iran and one with Russia. They are paying for their side of the war with oil money because Joe Biden has lifted the sanctions on them and shut down U.S. energy. And then we debate in Congress how much money we should send to our allies. Turns out we're funding both sides of those wars. President Trump won't let that happen for a day. So as we get ready to kick off this evening tonight, and you're going to listen to an amazing leader come out here and speak for over an hour from his heart to all of you, I want you to think about one thing, because I was with him on Tuesday, sitting in that cold, dank, dark, horribly maintained New York courtroom. And I knew going in there, I wanted to see with my own eyes. I'm someone who likes to get ground truth. But I could see with my own eyes, before I went in, I knew the thing was a sham trial, because if you've got a judge that donated to President Biden's campaign in 2020, if you got prosecutors that ran for election in Manhattan, a county that's 92% Democrat, saying that they're going to put President Trump away, they're running on that. And then you've got your star witness is a world-class serial perjurer. You might say, why would we bring that case? Well, the DOJ passed on it. The Federal Election Commission passed on it. Alvin Bragg's predecessor passed on it. They all passed on it. They called it the zombie case. They had to bring it back from the dead. And then there we are. There's nothing there, but they've got him tied up there for 5 weeks when he should be out doing what he's doing tonight, talking to you about the real issues facing the American people. And I left there and I came back, was flying back to North Dakota. And to get to North Dakota, it turns out you have to go through Minnesota to get there. You can't get on them. There's no direct flights from anywhere except Minneapolis on Delta. And so they got the new thing on the back of the seat back. We can watch live TV. So I'm watching CNN the next morning, and they're talking about the trial. And I thought they must have been in a different courtroom than I was, because that's not what I was watching. And what I saw with our president and what you will see tonight is someone who had time earlier today to go to his son's graduation, because he's a dad and he's a father. And supported by the most beautiful and wonderful first lady this country's ever had, Melania. And he's doing that. And then this week, he's in the courtroom. And then in the evening, world leaders want to come and see him that aren't going to the White House. They're coming to see him at Trump Tower. So he sits in the courtroom all day. He works all night. No one works more tirelessly than him. And I'll tell you, having a chance to be with him on Trump Force One, I can tell you one thing. Everybody on that plane, doesn't matter. You leave Iowa at midnight and you're flying back to the East Coast, 2.5-hour flight. Nobody shuts their eyes. Nobody has even a single beer. Everybody's working. They got their nose down. This is the hardest work. If he was just still a CEO, he'd be the hardest working CEO in America, but he's been the hardest working president we've ever had and will have again, and he's working for all of you and for all of us. So I just got a couple of questions for you before Tom comes back out here, but one question is, who are we sending back to the White House in November? Okay, one more time. Who are we sending back to the White House in November? Okay, and the last time, this is a special one. You got to say this loud enough that they can hear it in Biden's basement back in Delaware. Who are we sending back to the White House in November? And are we going to win Minnesota? Let's go, Minnesota GOP. Thank you very much.
Morning, everyone. I'm Governor Doug Burgum, along with our Congressman and Vivek. We're here today to offer some observations of firsthand. I think one thing that we've all known is this was a sham trial, but when you have an opportunity to see it up close and personal, you can see it's actually a scam trial. When you've got a judge that's a donor to Biden, you got prosecutors that are supporters of Biden, and then you've got relatives of the judge that are benefiting financially directly from this trial and that information. And then you've got the star witness is a serial perjurer. Then you have to ask yourself, what is this all about? And I think the only conclusion, of course, is it's election interference and it's tying up the president from being out on the campaign trail. And of course, we know that from the polls that have come out, even from the New York Times, Rasmussen Interactive this week, President Trump is leading all over the country. And the conclusion you can draw from that is the American people have already acquitted Donald Trump, because the things that they're concerned about, inflation, crime, the border, the economy, all of these things, President Trump is leading by huge double digits versus Joe Biden. And the sooner that this scam trial can be concluded, the sooner that the president can get back to getting out, campaigning, and talking to the American people about the issues that matter to them. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Congressman, then Vivek. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Congressman. In closing, I just want to double down on that. We're all here today because of the circus of this trial. But I want to say a word to those Americans out there that are dealing with Biden's inflation, when their paychecks aren't helping them get through the end of the month because they're paying more for their gas and their food, they're paying more for their electricity. I want them to know that while this trial is going on, there's many of us around the country that are out helping campaign for President Trump to make sure that the message gets through, and that's why it's showing up in the polls, because President Trump is stronger on the border. He is stronger on crime. He is stronger on China. He is stronger on the economy. He's stronger on everything that matters to our citizens today in this country, where Biden is weak. This fall, it's going to be about strength versus weakness. The politicization of the legal system is not working. It's actually failing. And I, again, want to say again, everything that these gentlemen said here today about the trial is absolutely true. But it is sad that we're here today and not out talking to the American people about the issues that matter to them the most. And with that, thank you all for being here.
Will you support the president?
Welcome, Pennsylvania. Thank you for being here today. I got a simple question for you, and it's multiple choice.
The answers are Harris or Trump. Who are we going to send to the White House? Who are we going to send to the White House? Okay, one more time, this time so loud that we drowned out all that joy at the Harris headquarters. Who's going to the White House on Tuesday? That's right, that's right. Well, I've got a simple message for all of you, and I want to extend that on behalf of President Trump and all the great patriots that all of you are and all the people that have been traveling around the country. Is what's going on here today is happening in states and counties all over the nation. And when you have a gathering like this where people gather with a pledge and a prayer, this is the best of America. This is people coming together because you're here, because you care about your neighbors, and you believe in a country where neighbors still help neighbors, and where you know that you're here not just for yourself, but you're here because of your kids and your grandkids. And the message I want to say to you is one of gratitude, because this election has been fought now. It's been going on really for 4 years. And here we are back at the brink, 2 days away from sending Donald Trump back to the White House. And we're here because of the work that all of you do. And with 48 hours to go, the gratitude is for everything you've done. You've put up yard signs, you've talked to your friends, your neighbors, you've posted online, you've taken pictures. You know, we talk about the media, but you're all the media. You've got an opportunity to share with your group and get people to get out and vote. And that's what it's going to come down to. This could still be a very close race on Tuesday, and this race is going to be decided not in the 50 states. It's going to be decided in 7 states, and in those 7 states, it's going to be decided in 19 counties. There's 3,000 counties in America. 19 counties will decide this race. This is one of them, and you're here, and you're going to make a difference. This morning we had a chance on the bus tour. We were in Carbon County, and after the event was over, I was talking to a woman just like you, had come to this event there because she cared about her community, cared about everything. She was driving home a couple weeks ago, and she had a Trump t-shirt on, and there was a car accident, and she'd seen a bunch of people keep rolling by and not stopping. And she said, I better stop and see if that person's okay, because she's just like you, someone that cared. She pulled in and said, are you okay? And the person was okay. They were visiting from Florida. Found out, she said, what do you? She said, I'm a Trump volunteer. I'm doing that. She was wearing a Trump t-shirt. That individual was from Florida. She told me that after they got back home safely, the person was okay. She helped them get the care they needed, helped them get connected, went back to Florida. That individual has converted about 10 votes in Florida to vote for President Trump. That's the kind of impact that all of you are having. And I just want to tell you quickly why I'm here. I was in the private sector my whole life until the day that first time I ever ran for office was the same, and I got elected for the first time the same night that President Trump got elected. Both of us that same night. And I remember going into that night thinking it was going to be pretty fun to be the governor of a state that I grew up in, and I came from a small town in North Dakota, 300 people, and I thought this is going to be fun because I love this place and I love this country. And then as that night went on and the numbers came in, and you guys probably all remember that, November of 2016. And then Hillary was going down and Trump was going up, and he ended up winning. And wasn't that an incredible night? That feeling that night, that was amazing. And as it turned out, it was so much fun for First Lady Catherine and I to serve with President Trump as the president. We had the wind at our back. We had someone who was cutting taxes. He was cutting regulation. He understood that the states created the federal government and not the other way around, and that states were respected to do what they needed to do to get the job done. And so we had this great thing rolling along. And then when Biden and Harris got in office, we got reelected. I had the same job, but my job changed completely. It changed completely. What I have had to do the last 4 years is fight our own federal government as they try to take away the rights of states, the rights of people, including our right to run our economy like Pennsylvania. We're an energy state, you're an energy state, and they're choking states like ours. And when they do that, they raise the price of everything. They drive inflation up. They shut down American energy. And you know who benefits the most? You know who celebrates when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris say, we're going to stop exporting U.S. natural gas? They have a party in the Kremlin. They have a party, the Ayatollahs in Iran have a party because it helps them. And what are they doing with all of the oil money they're making? They're funding wars against us and our allies. This country, 2/3 of America believe we're on the wrong track. And I tell you, we're not just off by a couple of degrees. We are 180 degrees in the wrong direction on energy. We're 180 degrees in the wrong direction on our economy. We're 180 degrees on national security. And as a governor under Biden and Harris, she's the border czar. I've been down to the border more times than she has. We've had troops. One of the great honors and the great responsibilities of being a governor is the commander and the chief of your National Guard. I've had troops at that border almost continuously during this administration. It's worse than anything you've ever heard of, anything that's ever reported. Most underreported story every day in America is what's going on at the border. And I can tell you they're 180 degrees wrong on the border. But there's one person we know that this mess we're inheriting that can fix it. And you know who that person is? Donald J. Trump can fix it. Yes, they've left an incredible mess of a broken economy, an open border, wars abroad, unsafe cities. Because along with that, along with the invasion we've also had mass casualties. We've lost the equivalent of 5 Vietnams worth of Americans to overdose deaths during the Biden-Harris administration. And I can tell you, I'm so happy that we've got that our team, because I love putting our team, Trump-Vance, against their team. Let me tell you about their team. I've talked about Kamala, but Tim Walz, Governor Walz, he's my neighbor in Minnesota. Tim Walz is my neighbor. Yeah. And I know you want to boo Tim, but I just have to tell you, from the perspective of North Dakota, he's going to win the Economic Developer of the Year because billions of dollars of businesses have left Minnesota and moved to North Dakota. And we just want to give him a shout out and tell him thank you. Thank you, Tim, for that. Because we've got the most liberal candidate we've ever had in Kamala Harris, who's from California, and then we got a governor in the middle of the country that's passed every California liberal. Imagine, they call it the land of 10,000 lakes. Well, you know what they call it now? The land of 10,000 taxes and regulations, because that's what they've got going on. So our team, what a team we've got. President Trump at the top, J.D. Vance. How about J.D. Vance? You're going to hear from him shortly. Yep. Someone who served his country, and also someone who understands that the disease of addiction is ravaging our country, and he's going to do something about that. So what a team that we've got. They're going to get it done for us, absolutely. So excited that we're going to have JD here, so excited that you're all here. And let me close with this. One of our great presidents was Theodore Roosevelt. And Theodore Roosevelt said, the great prize in life is the opportunity to work hard at work worth doing. And I want to close where I started, with gratitude for all of you, because everybody here who's out working to get the vote out, everybody who's here putting up yard signs, making a post, calling your friends, volunteering, being a captain. I see those white caps out there. All of you are doing work that's work worth doing. And I want to say again, thank you. You're going to be the difference maker. When we send Trump back to the White House, it's coming through this county. It's coming through Pennsylvania. Let's go, Pennsylvania. Let's win it all on Tuesday. Thank you. Thank you. And that's why we're here today.
On day two of your presidential run, you said that abortion should be left up to the states. Former President Trump has now adopted that position. Have you advised him on any other positions? Are you helping him with debate prep? How often do you speak with him?
Well, I would just say that it's been a real honor for Catherine and I to have spent as much time with the president as we have since we first endorsed him. We were the first
presidential candidate who dropped out to endorse him. We were there on the stage in Iowa on that historic night. We were there with them in Nevada, and we've had the invitation so we just said, hey, we're on call. Call us if you need us, and we'll go. So we had a chance to spend quite a bit of time with them, and across that we've had a lot of discussions. But the thing that they think that we really appreciate and wish every American could see President Trump the way we got to know him. We got to know him in a much closer way. But the guy is incredibly hardworking. He's a business person, just like Tim is, just like I was for all those years. And he thinks about solutions just in pure common sense, and he thinks about it in terms of what's best for America. So he is super curious. You go to a fundraiser with him, or a round table, and he'll ask questions of everybody that's there. He's always sampling. He's always learning. So I think he's getting great input. He's getting input from the American people on these policies.
Have you helped to make debates?
We've been in discussion with the Trump campaign team, but there's never been a better politician, a better debater, a better communicator. I mean, you look at the size of the rallies that people show up to hear President Trump. It's historic. I mean, people just ought to say we've never had someone like this. We may never have one like this again. It's really remarkable the way he can connect with people, and I'm sure he's going to do that during the debate.
Governor, I remember in the primary debates you were very focused.
Good evening, New Jersey! First Lady Catherine and I just flew in with President Trump, and I want to tell you he is so excited to be out here with you tonight in a few minutes. To kick things off, I need your help. I'm going to ask you a question, and if your answer is yes, I want you to yell Trump as loud as you can. Here we go. Who are we going to send back to the White House in November? Oh, that was great, but I think you can do a little better. Who are we going to send back to the White House? Okay, one more time. This one has to be so loud that they can hear it in Biden's basement in Delaware. Who are we going to send back to the White House? Trump! That's fantastic. As I said, my name is Doug Burgum. I'm the governor of the great state of North Dakota. In North Dakota, we're building a presidential library for Theodore Roosevelt. It opens on July 4th, 2026, and you're all invited. One of my favorite PR quotes is called "The Man in the Arena." I'm sure you're familiar. Theodore Roosevelt said, "It's not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to those actually in the arena whose faces are marred by dust and sweat and blood." You're here tonight because you care deeply about this country. You care about your community. You care about your family. You care about the future of this country. And by being here tonight, you are in the arena. And you know who's grateful that you're here? Those of you that have stood here for days, those that are lined up outside, those that are watching online. President Trump is grateful that you're in the arena with him, fighting to elect him. I've had the honor to serve as governor under President Trump. In the last 3 years, I've served under Joe Biden. Working with President Trump as a governor was like having a beautiful breeze at your back. President Trump respects states' rights. He cut regulation. He lowered taxes. Working under the Biden regulatory regime is like having a gale force wind in your face. Because the Biden bureaucrats are treating our constitutional republic like a dictatorship. Yes, we've been living under their Biden bureaucratic rule for 1,200 days. They think they got a one-size rule for every solution. They can create a mandate or regulation for anything to tell you what to do in your family, your small business, in your home, in your community. And they're crushing our economy and empowering our adversaries in pursuit of the big green fantasy
which is actually a nightmare that defies economics, physics, and common sense. Under President Trump, America finally achieved energy independence. But under Joe Biden, he's making America energy dependent on regimes who hate America. Biden's agenda actually hurts America and helps our adversaries. It's like it was written by Russia or China. Joe Biden wants America to buy energy from our enemies rather than us sell it to our allies. That changes when President Trump is back in office on day one. President Trump will make America more energy independent. He'll go beyond that. He's going to make America energy dominant. Because President Trump knows that American greatness is always been achieved by innovation. And he believes in innovation over regulation. Under national security, President Trump, when he was in office, we had peace through his strength. Joe Biden's weakness is actually causing wars. Just look at the Middle East. Israel, barbarically attacked by the terrorist group Hamas. And who funds Hamas? Iran. President Trump left Iran on its knees financially. Joe Biden appeased Iran, lifted the oil sanctions, and has given them hundreds of billions of dollars that they're using to fight wars against our allies. There's a long-standing American principle, and President Trump would never do this. We don't negotiate with terrorists. But Joe Biden went beyond that this week. He's now negotiating for the terrorists. Biden's undermining a great American ally, and you know why he's doing that? Because he's trying to score political points in November with the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party. But under Donald Trump, America will be strong again and our allies will be safe. Everybody here, you all know historically the great economy we had under President Trump. You remember that. You remember that's why you're here tonight. Biden keeps lying about the state of the economy. This week on CNN, he said 15 lies in 17 minutes about the economy. Biden's inflation has come like a thief in the night. If you've got savings, it's worth 20% less than it did when Joe Biden took office. Everything that we buy, gas, food, the rent you pay, or the electricity costs alone are up 30% under Joe Biden. They're going to continue to skyrocket. Joe Biden's agenda is shutting down baseload power and destabilizing the grid. So if you want to avoid an era of Biden blackouts, let's send President Trump back to the Oval Office. We know how all of you are going to vote this November. But to win this election so big that it can't be rigged, you've got to bring your friends, your independents, and those people that may not be here today. And you can help them make that choice for your undecided friends. It's very simple. Donald Trump means strength. Joe Biden means weakness. Donald Trump means law and order. Joe Biden is lawfare. Donald Trump creates jobs. Joe Biden's policies kills jobs. So if you've got friends that like inflation, regulation, crime, wars, sham political trials, and open borders, if you want more of that, you can get 4 more years with Joe Biden. But if you want to make America affordable again, if you want to make America safe again, if you want to make America strong again, you know what to do. You can get this country turned around and turned around fast. Let's send President Trump back to the White House and make America great again. Back to New Jersey!
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. I want to thank Tim and Teresa, obviously a fantastic host this morning.
what an amazing business, and this is the best of America right here. You got an entrepreneur who takes a risk with his wife, starts this business, and now creating jobs and creating community. What's going on here? I mean, how do you have a better morning? We've already met a veteran here today, one of your customers, and then we meet another incredible story about a young person that's in recovery, building a business. And so this is where it's happening, and it's in places like Sobe Meats where this election is going to be determined. I'll talk about that in a second, but I do want to thank the ambassador, now chairman of the GOP in Michigan, also for being here today and helping host us. And of course, I want to thank First Lady Catherine for everything she's doing across the country as she works to eliminate the shame and stigma of disease and addiction. But again, when I say election's going to turn in a place like this, it absolutely is, because this is where the everyday working American who's got a job and they've got a paycheck, and they come and then they get hit in the face with inflation, and at the end of the month, whether it's the food on the table, the gas in the car, the price of electricity in their home, some of them I'm sure have said, hey, I'd love to buy a house, but with interest rates, the American dream is out of reach. And every election in the end turns on people saying, am I better off than I was 4 years ago? And I think everybody in Michigan is going to be able to say this is not a theoretical thing. They actually had an opportunity to live under when President Trump was in office for 4 years, and they were better off. The world was at peace. Our economy was stronger. We had an administration that was supporting jobs into Michigan as opposed to trying to eliminate all these auto jobs as they pursue a strategy around EVs, which again is just enslaves us to China. We spent 40 years trying to get out from underneath OPEC. We finally got to Team USA and energy independence, and now we've got the Biden administration wants to make sure that we're buying all of our a battery is basically the engine in an EV car. We're going to buy all of our engines from China, the world's largest polluter in the country that controls 85% of the rare earth minerals. I don't think that makes sense for our country. It doesn't make sense for people that work in Michigan. So with that, I'm just to stop. I'll take a few questions. But again, I want to thank Tim and Teresa. What an amazing place they have here. And as I said earlier, the ground rules here. Everybody's here, but you got to buy some beef sticks before you leave. Make sure you do. And I think that what the best seller, Tim, is
medium with cheese, hunter, and teriyaki.
Okay, medium with cheese, hunter, and teriyaki. There you got your selections right there from the head chef. We'll take a few questions.
Governor, have you heard any updates in the vetting process for Vice President?
This will be my only second yes or no answer of probably the last year, but no, haven't heard any updates.
And do you think in general for a vice presidential candidate, is it more important to expand Trump's base or mirror his policies?
Well, the interesting question, but the answer to that question is solely up to President Trump. We're so lucky in the Republican Party that we've got so many strong bench of people that are coming up, so many people that are out there making a difference in campaigning for President Trump. And when he makes that decision, it's solely up to him. And he's the guy that controls the criteria. He'll throw the choice. But what Catherine and I, when we decided to even get in this, we never said to ourselves, "Oh, let's go campaign for vice president." What we said was, "Hey, we could have run for a third term as governor in North Dakota. We decided not to because, like the people of Michigan, Catherine and I had spent 4 years as a governor and first lady with President Trump, and then now 3.5 under President Biden. And I can tell you, it's night and day between those two things. One, with President Trump, it was like a gentle breeze at our back, and North Dakota was supported, states were respected, and what we were doing across agriculture and energy and creating electricity, we were supported. Now under President Biden, I have the same job description. I'm governor of this great state, but my job has completely changed. We've run out of lawyers in North Dakota. We're fighting back on over 30 rules and mandates, and any one of those might be 800 to 1,400 pages long. None of them have come from Congress. They're all just being sent down on top of us from these three-letter agencies, and they're raising the cost of everything. I can tell you exactly why. Food costs more and energy costs more because what do we do in North Dakota? We create food and we create energy, and I can tell you the source of those increases is coming from all the regulation that is being piled on top of us. So if you want to find out what it's like to live in a dictatorship, we're living in one now, because a democracy, Congress sets the rules. In a dictatorship, one party just starts shoving rules down on a thing that raises the cost of everything. So the two of us decided, hey, we should spend our time this year making sure that President Trump gets back and the Trump administration gets back in the White House. That's what we're doing, and that's why we're here today.
On day two of your presidential run, you said that abortion should be left up to the states. Former President Trump has now adopted that position. Have you advised him on any other positions? Are you helping him with debate prep? How often do you speak with him?
Well, I would just say that it's been a real honor for Catherine and I to have spent as much time with the president as we have since we first endorsed him. We were the first presidential candidate who dropped out to endorse him. We were there on the stage in Iowa on that historic night. We were there with them in Nevada, and we've had the invitation so we just said, hey, we're on call. Call us if you need us, and we'll go. So we had a chance to spend quite a bit of time with him, and across that we've had a lot of discussions. But the thing that I think that we really appreciate and wish every American could see President Trump the way we got to know him. We got to know him in a much closer way. But the guy is incredibly hardworking. He's a business person, just like Tim is, just like I was for all those years. And he thinks about solutions just in pure common sense, and he thinks about it in terms of what's best for America. So he is super curious. You go to a fundraiser with him or a round table, and he'll ask questions of everybody that's there. He's always sampling. He's always learning. So I think he's getting great input. He's getting input from the American people on these policies.
Have you helped him with debate?
We've been in discussion with the Trump campaign team, but there's never been a better politician, a better debater, a better communicator. I mean, you look at the size of the rallies that people show up to hear President Trump. It's historic. I mean, people just ought to say we've never had someone like this. We may never have one like this again. It's really remarkable the way he can connect with people, and I'm sure he's going to do that during the debate.
Governor, I remember in the primary debates you were very focused on policy. That's something that you wanted to bring to the stage. Is there something that you think that the President Trump should focus on in those debates before the American people?
Well, I think, and some of you had an opportunity to travel with us quite a bit during that primary, and it's good to see all of you again. I'd say that you would recall that we talked at every stop about three things. We talked about the economy. We talked about how energy underpinned our economy and inflation, but also that how energy affects our national security and our foreign policy. And part of national security, of course, is the border. So we got a couple of things. On the border, President Trump, no one's been stronger on the border, but we've got a mass invasion occurring, and now we got mass casualties. You have to call it that, because we've lost over 5 Vietnams of people to fentanyl poisonings and overdose deaths, and it's just baffling to me when we've got the crime that's happening across our nation, and including here in Michigan, many of it driven by people who've entered our country illegally. This is no longer a Republican issue. That kind of crime and that kind of population coming into our country illegally affects every independent, Democrat, Republican. It's going to be a huge factor. And in a state like Michigan, where there's been over 3,000 of these overdose deaths here. I mean, I think when we travel, Catherine and I, we meet people regularly that have lost a family member, or they know someone who's lost a family member. And again, that's not Republican versus Democrat. That's affecting everybody. Fentanyl doesn't know what party you're in. We're losing all kinds of people. So I think President Trump is right on the issues on the border, and he's right on the energy policy, because Joe Biden's energy policy is funding the two proxy wars we're in. We're fighting a proxy war against Russia. We're fighting a proxy war against Iran, and both of those countries are profiting from the Biden administration, which is trying to shut down U.S. energy and shove that production overseas. So that doesn't make any sense to the average American either. I would pay more for my gasoline at home, so that foreign dictators can fund wars against us, and then we fight over how much money we're going to spend in Congress to support our side. I mean, we're paying for both sides of the war effectively with these just absurd energy policies. President Trump understands all that, which is fantastic, and it's one of the reasons why we're so strongly behind it.
Last question.
What would you say are the top economic concerns of this area that you've learned so far?
Well, I think they're largely the same here as they are anywhere else in the country, which is prices went up. And in Michigan, if you add up what people are paying in Michigan versus when Joe Biden took office, the average family, if you take electricity, their rent, their food, and their gas, those four things, the average family is paying almost $20,000 more for those things than they were before in the time period that he's been in office. And so that is absolutely the number one thing. But then the second thing, again, is that of course, like North Dakota, Michigan is a border state with Canada, but with the open border on the southern border, as I mentioned, it's not about people saying it's not about immigration. An open border is about national security, and now it's about public safety, and it's about the cost of that. The idea that in a state like Michigan, where they're paying people to house illegal immigrants, I mean, this is with taxpayer dollars. I mean, some of these things just don't make the common sense to the average voter. And I'd say jobs is the last thing, because no state gets hit harder with this EV idea that somehow we're going to take every car and turn it into an EV. No state gets harder in terms of lost jobs. And I think you're going to see across the country, there might be union leaders that are still supporting Joe Biden, but union workers are going to be supporting Donald Trump.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum.
Hello, Milwaukee. And hello, North Dakota. Feels good to be here. The last time I was in Milwaukee, in this building, standing behind a podium, was for the debate, and I stood on one leg for 2 hours. You guys might remember I blew my Achilles the day before. But to kick things off, I have a question for you, and I need your help answering so nice and so loud that everyone at home can hear you. Are you ready? Who will make America energy dominant? Again, who will make America energy dominant? Well, that's pretty good, but it's after 4 p.m. in D.C., so how about one more time loud enough to wake up Joe Biden? Who will make America energy dominant? That's right, because when President Trump unleashes American energy, we unleash American prosperity, and we ensure our national security. Serving as a governor with President Trump was like having a beautiful breeze at our back. He cut taxes and he cut red tape. Serving as a governor under Joe Biden has been like a gale force wind in our face. Biden's war on energy hurts every American because the cost of energy is in everything we use or touch every day. Biden's red tape has raised the price of the gas in your car, the cost of food on your table, the clothes on your back, and it's even raised your rent. Biden's green agenda feels like it was written by China, Russia, and Iran. Let's look at Biden's EV mandates. Where do nearly all the batteries and rare earth minerals come from? China, you know. And the day that Biden halted permits for clean U.S. natural gas export facilities, just think about the party they must have thrown that night at the Kremlin, because Biden's policies are making Russia and Iran filthy rich. And they're using that money to fund wars and terrorism against our allies. At home, Biden is acting like a dictator. He's using mandates to shut down reliable baseload electricity. That's why your electric bills have soared upwards as our nation's electric grid reliability spirals downward. 4 more years of Joe will usher an era of Biden brownouts and blackouts. Imagine no electricity for your fridge, your lights, or air conditioning. President Trump will ensure that there is power for you, and importantly, that we have the power as the United States to beat China in the AI arms race. Unleashing American energy dominance is our path back to prosperity and peace through strength. Teddy Roosevelt encouraged America to speak softly and carry a big stick. Energy dominance will be the big stick that President Trump will carry. Yes, President Trump will make sure that America is selling energy to our allies versus buying it from our adversaries. Innovation has always been the source of American greatness, and President Trump champions innovation over regulation. Last year, over that whole year, my wife Catherine and I traveled all across America. As all of you know, it's rural America that feeds the world, that fuels the world, and defends the world. Small towns with a huge impact, and rural America is Trump country. In North Dakota, we know one thing for sure because we've seen him do it, and that's that the hardest working president in American history is Donald J. Trump. President Trump cares deeply about every American, rig workers, truck drivers, roughnecks, and yes, America's great farmers and ranchers. President Trump cares deeply about you. We know that he'll fight for us, he'll fight for our families, and we know one more thing. He'll let all of you keep driving your gas-powered cars. When President Trump unleashes energy dominance, he will make America affordable again. He will make America strong again. And when President Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance together, they will make America great again.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former counselor to President Donald J.